Good evening. Back with another late night discussion. I just want to talk to you guys about something that I felt would be a great topic: two different realities. Now, when I say two different realities, I'm talking about select men versus non select men. And select men, they would never understand the reality of non select men. Select men, their reality is totally different from non-select men. When you're a man that has always pretty much had it pretty easy with women, when you're a guy that females were receptive to and females showed a liking in you from a very young age, um, that's a reality that's going to prepare you for success. That's a reality that's going to have you confident. That's a reality that's going to have you secure within yourself. That's a reality that's going to make you feel like a real man. But on the flip side of a select man, you have a non-select man. And the reality of a non-select man is a lifetime of hell, a lifetime of being treated like crap, a lifetime of rejection, a lifetime of pain and anguish and misery. So when select men try to give advice to non-select men, is really a waste of time. This is why dating coaches should not give their advice to non-select men. Non-select men are just going to have to pay for pussy. That is the only alternative, or get a blow-up doll or a sex doll or whatever you want to get. Those are the alternatives for non-select men. And that's why I say, if I was a dating coach, I would never target men who are not wanted by women. I just wouldn't, because it's a waste of time and energy. But dating coaches are snakes, and they believe in preying on the weak because they're all about money at the end of the day. And most dating gurus, those types of men, they are select men. They are men who've always been wanted. They've always had a rotation of pussy, and it's never been a problem for them. They've always been able to get something. So they don't understand the reality of non-select men. And non-select men face a lot of persecution. They always getting judged, always getting dissed. But men who are desired, they don't understand the reality of non-select men. And that's why I say it's two different realities. And how in the hell can somebody give you advice when they are not living your reality? If you're not living my reality, if you're not experiencing what I'm experiencing, if you're not going through the pain, the misery, the anguish, if you're not going through what I'm going through, then you don't have the right to give me any advice. You just don't. And that's how I see it. And a lot of dating coaches feel that, or just not just necessarily dating coaches, just men in general, they try to give advice to non-select men, men who are not wanted. They try to give advice to these types of men, but it's like, you can't understand a reality that you've never lived. You can't understand something that you've never been through. So how are you going to give effective advice on something that you've never experienced? If you've never been in this position, if you've never gone through the pain, the misery, the fire, you can't explain something that you have not lived. And non-select men are the men who were not lucky. They were not born lucky. They don't have the genetics to attract females. And select men, they don't understand the reality of these types of men. They don't understand what it's like to never be wanted. They just don't understand that. And there are some men who've never been wanted. Women just don't dig them. Every man is not selected when it comes to the mating game. And it pisses me off when people try to make it seem like every man is special or every man has potential. Every man does not have potential. Every man is just not that dude when it comes to females. Every dude is just not that guy. That's why you have select men and that's why you have non-select men. And a man who's always had a rotation of pussy thrown at him cannot give you advice on your dating life. You know, those types of guys they don't understand your reality. And that's what I had to understand. It's two different realities. It's literally two different realities. It's just like people that are, people who are rich and people who are poor. That's a wonderful analogy. It's two different lifestyles. It's two different realities. And this is why I say a man who has always been desired, a select man, cannot give advice to a man who's never been wanted. There's no advice that a man like that can give. So it's getting old when you have guys. I mean, it's really getting old. The BS is getting old. When you have these men who try to go out of their way, pretending like they've been in this position. And it pisses me off when you see guys that you know who've always been desired by women, but they try to make it seem like I was once an incel. I was once a man that couldn't get no ass. You're a freaking liar. So just swallow your pride and admit you've never been a loser. It pisses me off when you have these types of men who try to pretend like they were at some point in their life a non-select man. You've never been a non-select man. You've always been able to put your face in some ass. So stop lying and swallow your pride and just admit that you're just a lucky man. I mean, the gimmicks is just getting old. It's really getting old. And these men who try to give advice to non-select men, the only advice they need to be given is, hey, bro, you just gonna have to trick off. Hey, bro, you just gonna have to pay for some ass or get a blow-up doll. That's the only advice those men should be giving guys who are not desired by women. That's the only advice they should be given. Because how you gonna give advice about a reality that you've never lived? How you gonna give somebody advice on something that you've never experienced when you were blessed enough to be born a man that women find good looking and you've always had women willing to bend that stank thing over for you? So how you gonna give advice to men who are not wanted? You can't give advice to these types of men. And that's why I always say, if a person has never walked a mile in your shoes, if they've never weathered the storm, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I just felt this is something that needs to be brought to the light, because select men and non-select men live two different lifestyles. Two different lifestyles. So, guys who've always had women throwing the box at them, guys who've always had women desiring them, they don't understand. And I'm tired of guys who were put in a position they had no control over. I'm tired of dudes being bashed and ridiculed for something that they had no control over. Because there are a lot of people that like to attack non-select men as if it's their fault to why females have never been receptive to them. And that has to stop. That has to stop. People know the truth. Some people just was not lucky, you know? And it's time out for picking on the weak. It's just time out for that crap. And this is just something to think about, because two different realities, that's definitely what this is. And somebody who's never lived your reality, they don't know what they're talking about if they have not lived your reality. But you guys let me know what you think. That's really what this boils down to. Select men, they would never be able to wrap their mind around the reality of non-select men. It's a reality that they could never understand because they've never lived it. But you guys have a good night.